Guys, this is the second video in a row where what I'm about to show you even I can't believe is happening. But earlier this month, this tool called Clawdbot was released to the world, and it gives our coding agents its entire computer. And in this way, we now have 24/7 AI employees that work all the time on any task that we want. And the best part is that we can talk to this coding agent from anywhere on the planet on like iMessage or Discord or WhatsApp. And this tool has become so freaking powerful that I'm going to have to make many videos about that. But today, I'm going to show you just the quick introduction to what Clawdbot is and how to actually get it set up so that in the future videos you guys can all follow along perfectly. Today's video overview is going to go through 4 chapters. I'm going to be explaining why Clawdbot is so exciting for anyone that's building automations. I'm going to go through the 6 powerful features that makes Clawdbot so game-changing. And then I'm going to show you guys a quick demo of how I actually use Clawdbot to do a lot of tasks just by texting it on iMessage. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to set up Clawdbot step by step. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is that over the past day, I've been building out different use cases for this Clawdbot engine, and now I have over 100 use cases to show you guys. But first, you guys need to learn what Clawdbot is, why it's powerful, and how to set it up. So, why is this so exciting? Simply put, Clawdbot can do any task, and it runs locally on our computers. Hence why I already bought a couple of Mac Minis to make sure that this agent's ready to go. We can also chat with this Clawdbot agent without being on our computer. So for the first time ever, I could just be on the golf course building out apps, building out agents, and running my business. And we do this by messaging our agent through iMessage, Discord, WhatsApp, or any other messaging platform that you want. So what this means is every agentic workflow that lived in NAN, for example, every computer use agent that we built on Playwright, every messaging platform that we wanted to build automations for can now live inside of this simple agentic framework that works 24/7. This is absolutely magic. Once again, I can't believe I'm even making this video. So here are the 6 reasons why Clawdbot is going to change the entire AI landscape. And these are the 6 core reasons. So the first one is that it has built-in computer use tools. It has the Chrome developer tools, and it also has the Playwright MCP tools, meaning we can within an iMessage prompt tell our agent to open up its own browser and do a task on our behalf, and it can sign into those browsers and hold on to those session cookies. So, if you guys saw my computer use tutorials, you saw that the reason why computer use agents are so powerful is that we can give them cookie sessions to any software provider. So, if I use LinkedIn, for example, I can give my Clawdbot my LinkedIn access, and then it can use my LinkedIn account to send messages, drop comments, make posts, so on and so forth with every type of software provider. Now, the next reason why this is so powerful is that all of this runs locally. So when you sign into Instagram or LinkedIn, you have your IP address, and then you also have your session cookie. If you were to host this on a virtual private server, for example, then you're not going to be able to use any of these software logins as reliably because your IP address will keep changing. So with Clawdbot, we can just within a prompt sign into any social provider or any software provider, and then we can save the session cookies, and then this agent can access that website or software whenever we want. Now, another reason why running it on the Mac Mini is so powerful, this gives us every single Mac OS tool. So we can use the terminal, we can use the notes, we can use the Apple notification triggers. So we can tell Clawdbot to create a notification that triggers off once a day and sends me a text message or sends me an email or gives me a phone call. Now, that's just one reason why having it on a Mac Mini is so powerful. The second reason why is that the agent will have access to the GPU, the CPU, the RAM, and all of the memory. So it's going to be able to use the full power of your computer without you actually being on the computer. Same thing goes with all of the files, the videos, the audios, and the images that is built into your computer, or that you've saved to your computer. It can go and access these files again without you being there. Now, this relays itself into the third feature, where we can essentially be vibe coding from anywhere on the planet. Now, because Clawdbot has access to Cloud Code, it also can have access to your GitHub repositories. And GitHub is where all of my code bases live, for example, and so I can tell my agent here to go grab a GitHub repository and then add it to any project that we want. So this is going to allow us to, obviously do vibe coding, but also if there's a skill that we want to give our Clawdbot agent, we could just tell it to go and get that skill, and then it can write the skill and add it in, which we'll get into in a sec. Now, in 2025, the biggest AI automation platform by far was NAND. And one of the core powers of NAND was that we can build a workflow, and then we can set up the workflow to run on a schedule. And that is just simply called a cron job. And inside of Clawdbot, you have the full ability to set up any type of cron that you want. So let's say we're working with Cloud Code and Clawdbot to build out an automated workflow, and I was doing this just by messaging the agent, and then the agent goes, "The workflow is working well." Well, we can then set up that workflow to run autonomously at any time in the day as much as we need it to run. So this is going to be insanely game-changing, and I'm going to be showing you guys the 100 use cases that I have in the next video for Clawdbot. And it has a lot to do with this feature right here. Now, one of the most fun features, which just felt like magic again, was being able to just chat with the Clawdbot agent from my phone. So, I'm in the demo that I show you guys today. I'm going to show you how I was just literally chatting on iMessage, sending Clawdbot commands, and it would go ahead and do literally whatever I wanted. It created a Subabase account, it signed into my GitHub, it pulled in a GitHub repository, and then I just decided to film this video, but I'm just going to keep working on it because it is just ridiculous. Now, the most critical point about everything that has happened in AI recently is that skills allow our agents to be very specialized in their workflows. So, we can now give Clawdbot any one of the skills that we've built in our other repositories that live inside of the Clawdbot ecosystem, so on and so forth. And in this way, we are going to build a truly autonomous, fully stacked AI employee that is going to help you and your business grow faster. I want to show you the demo of me using Clawdbot. So, I'm just going to head over into my messages and we can see this agent called Zeus. So, I want to just scroll up to the top of the chat because this is like pretty ridiculous. So, we start off the conversation. I go, "What up?" He goes, "Yo, Zeus, iMessage is live, blah, blah, blah." And then I start asking questions. We're going to be working on some computer use workflows, and that uses Chrome DevTools and Playwright. I was like, "Do you already have that set up?" And then the agent goes, "Yeah, I already have Playwright set up, and I have browser control enabled and all that fun stuff." So it says, "All set. You can start using computer use tools." And then it starts asking, like, what's the workflow you want to build? And then I go, the next question I have for you are you going to be able to set up cron schedules just for me texting? Just for me texting you? Like, if we have a workflow that's already winning, can I just tell you to set it up on a schedule? And then the agent goes, "Yep, I can just set up your cron. I could set up cron schedules for you whenever you want. No need to touch the computer." Which is just ridiculous. And the agent goes, "Once we nail a workflow, I can immediately create a cron job with whatever schedule you want, enable and disable it, update the schedule to later, or more often, and run it manually to actually test that it's working." So we can build a workflow, test the workflow, and then set it on a schedule all just by texting the agent on what's on any messaging platform, in this case iMessage. Then the next question I had to do with agent skills, because I have a bunch of agent skills in my other repositories like ines.app, like Creator OS, and I was like, "How do you get these skills?" And then the agent goes, "All I have to do is get your GitHub repositories, and then I can pull in those GitHub repositories and get full access." So then I go, "Let's integrate GitHub." What this agent then does is it goes to GitHub on my computer, signs in, and then sends me the verification code. It says, "Enter the code, authorize it, and let me know when you're in." And then I tell it that I'm done. And then the agent says, "I'm logged into your GitHub repository," which is absolutely ridiculous. So then after doing that, I was like pretty shocked. I was like pretty excited. I was like, okay, what do I ask it next? So I was like, how do we get cookie sessions? Because for us to do automations on software providers, like LinkedIn, for example, we need the cookie sessions to that login provider. So I go, "Are you going to be able to do that?" The agent goes, "Yes, I can handle multiple cookie sessions." So after it responded with that, I go, that's very interesting because now, for example, I can build an entire swarm of AI employees a part of Creator OS that will just be a part of my business, right? And they can all be doing different actions on LinkedIn, on any social provider, and they all can just be inside of this one Clawdbot. And so this conversation continued, and I wanted to see how far we can take it before filming this tutorial. And then I go like, "Can we set up a Superbase database?" It goes, "Yes, I'm going to use this Gmail provider to create the Superbase." That's exactly what I did. So that's the first thing you got to do. And the second thing you got to do, guys, is you do got to buy a separate computer. I do not recommend you running Clawdbot on your personal computer because that'll give it access, for example, to your personal iMessage, to your personal Gmail, and when you're setting up workflows, you don't want to be randomly sending emails to people, randomly sending messages, or potentially even getting hacked. So, I do definitely recommend getting a Mac Mini. I was just very lucky to predict this. So, I bought these a couple months ago, but yeah, that's essentially what you need to get set up. But now let's hop right back into the computer, and let's just show you exactly how to get Clawdbot set up in Cursor. And so, in Chrome, I'm literally just going to type Clawdbot installation. We're going to choose that first link, and this is the quick install command. So this curl command is also going to be in the description, so you can go and find it there. I'm going to copy that, and now I'm just going to head into Cursor and get that set up. Cool. So we're going to go Open Project. I'm going to click New Folder. I'm going to call this Clawdbot Agent. We're going to click Create, and we're going to open that up. Great. So now we're going to add in Cloud Code. I'm going to click that toggle back. We're going to hit the toggle on the top right. We're going to type in Claude. That should bring up the chat. There we go. And we're also going to open up another node. So I'm just going to click this plus button. We're going to move up this node to the top. I'm going to paste in that command. And we're going to download the Clawdbot installer. And we're just going to let that go ahead. All right, there we go. So now it's going to say, like, I understand this is powerful and inherently risky. Do you want to continue? Yeah, obviously we want to continue, so we're going to go into the quick start. So the next step here is to choose which AI provider you want to be giving to the agent. For us, I'm always using Cloud Opus 4.5 at this point because of how powerful it is, and it's going to ask you to run this command in a new terminal. So, the Claude setup token. So, I'm going to go and click the plus button. That's going to give us another terminal, and I'm just going to type in Claude setup token. Now, what this did is it opened up a browser in the other monitor that I have, and I'm just going to click authorize. Now, what this is going to give us is this OOTH token, which I'm going to blur out because I don't want to be sharing my Cloud Code credits. They're very, very precious. But once you get that, you want to copy it, and you just want to hand it over to the Clawdbot agent. And that should give it access to Anthropic and all of the Anthropic AI models. So, I'm just going to name what this is. We're going to name it Clawdbot Agent Tutorial, and now we get to choose which AI model we want to use inside of Anthropic. So I'm going to be using Opus 4.5, and now we get to choose which format we want to be communicating with our CLA, with our Cloud Agent. So we have Telegram, WhatsApp, Discord, Google Chat. What I love doing is iMessage because it's just so satisfying. So we're going to go ahead with iMessage. Now, one other thing you got to do on the computer is you got to give your disk full access to Cursor and full access to the terminal. So I want to show you how that works really quick. I'm going to go over to the Apple logo. I'm going to click System Settings. I'm going to scroll down to Privacy and Security. I'm going to go and find the full disk access. And we can see here I've given Cursor and the node terminals full disk access to whatever they want to do on this computer. So, they have full access. And once you do that, that'll give it access to the iMessage and all the files and all that fun stuff. So the next step here is to configure all of the Clawdbot skills that actually just come with the package. So I'm going to click Yes for the configure. I'm going to choose npm as my skill install command. And now we have all of these different dependencies that we could be adding to our agent, right? So CamSnap, for example, gives this Clawdbot agent access to its own camera. So like if I had a camera set up somewhere and I wanted to take a video or take camera or take pictures without me being there, that's what I would use this for. But I'm not going to go through all of these today. But basically, the ones that I'm going to turn on is Claude Hub, MC Porter, NanoPDF, OpenAI, Whisper, Peekaboo, Summarize, Things Mac, and there are more. But since I've already installed it in the past, I guess the other ones are already installed. So I'm just going to go ahead and now install all of these new dependencies and all of these skill sets that out the box the Clawdbot agent will have. So it's asking for some API keys. So it's asking for like the Google Places API key. I don't want any of these, but you can obviously add them. Now, with my real Clawdbot instance, I did give it Nano Banana access so it can create images, but in this case, I'm just going to say no. Same thing with OpenAI. Same thing with Whisper and so on and so forth. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the hooks. Now, the hooks are very interesting because this is how we can actually see what's happening with our Clawdbot agent behind the scenes. So the two hooks that I enabled is the command logger and the session memory. So I'm going to do that again here. And what the command logger does is any time that the Clawdbot agent actually runs a command or executes code, it'll then store what it did inside of an audit file. And so we can actually review what it did when we get back onto our computer, and we can use this information to improve the workflows that it's working on. The same thing applies with the session memory. So let's say we are working on an agentic workflow, and the agent is running into errors, but then it figures out a solution. It's going to write out what was that solution in the session context. And so we want to make sure that the session memory is persistent, so that the next time that we run that workflow, the agent's able to go ahead and actually complete that task without running into errors. So I'm going to enable those hooks. Now, the next thing that's going to happen is this thing called the Clawdbot gateway, which is essentially like the front end of Clawdbot. So once this opens up, we will go and kind of chat about that. And so what this did is it created this website instance for us. So this is our entire kind of operating system dashboard for Clawdbot. It has our chat, but we also have all of the channels. It has access to the instances. It has access to sessions, cron jobs, skills, nodes. And this is why I'm so excited about Clawdbot, because all of the workflows, just like how we were doing it on NAND in 2025, are going to be inside of a platform like this in 2026. So this is guaranteed like the thing that you guys should be learning, going all in on. So now the agent goes, hey, I just came online, fresh start, blank slate, no memories yet, no name, no idea who I am, or who are you? So who are you and what and who do you want me to be? I could be anything really. Do you have any ideas? So in today's video, I just want to show you guys how we can set this up to chat with on iMessage. I'm just going to say, I want to be able to communicate with you via iMessage. When you first set up Clawdbot with iMessage, all you have to do is send yourself a text message. This is going to create something called a pairing code. So I already ran that message. So I'm using my personal Gmail on this computer, and I said, just a what up message. Then the agent responds back saying access not configured. And you want to share this pairing code with the Clawdbot environment, so I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to say this is the pairing code that the iMessage gave me, and I'm going to paste that in. And just like that, we've just connected the iMessage. So the agent goes done, you're approved, the notification failed on iMessage at first, but now it's set up. So I'm going to go back into the chat. I'm going to say, what up, Clawdbot? And there we go. We got that response. So the agent goes, hey, it works. Look at us. You're texting me like a real person now. I am message gang. So we were in the middle of something, blah, 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 and it's now trying to get the actual setup. But my setup is using a completely different Mac Mini and a complete different iMessage account so that when we have this conversation, it's very fluid, right? Because if I was messaging myself, I get my own message back as well. It's not as good. And then also, this agent now has access to my iMessage, meaning if anyone were to text me, this agent would actually respond, which is crazy, right? So you want to set this up on its own iMessage account, right? So here, for example, I can be like, what up, dude? And this will only respond back one message. And there we go. So yo, just chilling, keeping the lights on. What's good? Ready to build? Ready to build something or just checking in? It's just ridiculous. So now that you guys know how to set up Clawdbot, in the next video, I'm going to be running you guys through the most powerful use cases that I've already identified using something like Clawdbot for computer use workflows, for agentic workflows, for essentially anything, even iMessage messaging, right? So we can now give contacts to Zeus and let him send out marketing campaigns with iMessage. Yeah, I'm really excited to show you guys the next video, so I'm just going to leave it here.